Good evening and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville Zoning Hearing Board meeting for Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please be seated. If anyone has cell phones, would you please silence them at this point? Sorry. Sharon, may we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Griziak?
Here.
Mr. DiAugustino?
Here.
Mr. Gatos?
Here.
Mrs. Wilkins?
Here.
Mr. Dice?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Thank you. We will postpone the approval of the minutes from our last meeting until the next meeting. Paul, one item on the agenda for tonight, please.
Yeah, new business 23-1-A, Jessica Flantz. Applicant requests a special exception from Table 201A of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended to operate a pet sitting service from a single-family residence. The property is located at 356 Woodhaven Drive, tax parcel 855E155 in the R2 one-family residential zoning district.
Thank you. Before we call the applicant up, I'd like to ask Mr. Dice to explain the concept of the special exception as it applies to our meeting tonight.
Yes, sir. The zoning hearing board meets every month generally, and what we deal with on a regular basis are variances. If you look at this application, this is an application for a special exception, which is different, the standard of proof is different from that of a variance, where the applicant has to prove a hardship. In the case of a special exception, the applicant, this use is a matter of right. That's with capital letters. It's a use as a matter of right if the applicant satisfies all the requirements under the ordinance. Now, what does that mean? Well, in this case, is there traffic problems? Is there dog barking? Is there noise of some sort? Is there parking problems? Are there too many cars? Those are the kinds of considerations that this board is going to seek tonight. It should be noted, and I ask our staff whether or not this business has been operating for a period of time, and I learned that it's been operating for a period of 2 years. Prior to this application, there was never any complaints by anybody about the use that was being made there. That tells me that there must not have been barking dogs, there must not have been parking problems, there must not have been cars parked out front or around the back or whatever. So it puts the applicant in a favorable light for the board to take testimony on this matter. I say that all to you because it's important to recognize that this applicant has this use as a matter of right in capital letters if she satisfies the requirements under the ordinance. All that being said, we're going to take testimony first from the applicant and then from any party that feels interested in providing some testimony, either positive or against the application. It's also my understanding we received a series of letters. Is that right?
Yes, letters and emails, there's too many to read them all.
Okay. How many letters do you have?
There were 51 in favor and 3 in opposition.
We're going to mark those writings as exhibits in this case and enter them into the record. So there will be 51 yays, I'll use the word yays, saying that they support the application, and 3 nays. And that'll be part of the record that we have here tonight. With all that being said, is there anything else you want to add at this point, Paul?
No, that was pretty inclusive. The business has been in operation for around 2 years, and the borough, the municipality has never received any complaints.
Okay. Is the applicant here?
Yeah, she can't hear
I'm
him.
sorry, I'm trying to like catch up with Heather.
Oh, I'm sorry, with
But
the
I
script.
stand with her as she's deaf, so if one of you's speaking and she doesn't realize, she won't know.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Where am I supposed to speak, right here?
Yes.
Actually, do you prefer to sit?
No,
Or you want,
I'm
Jessica
staying-
we have the podium set up for you on the far right.
All right.
Right here? Right here, okay. All right,
have you signed in?
You signed in, right?
I signed in yet.
Okay. May I ask you to raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter, so help you God?
Sophia Gap?
So help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you state your name, please, for the record?
My name is Jessica Flan.
Thank you. And would you present your case, please?
Okay, hi, my
Hi.
name is Jessica Flan. For those of you listening who don't know me or my story, I am a deaf single mom to a teenage boy with autism, and I offer a pet sitting service from my home. I would like to point out I have a degree in office administration, but I have never been able to use it for obtaining a job due to the fact that nobody was willing to put the proper equipment in for me. So because I can't answer the phone or hear and understand office conversations that are not in front of me, as I need to be able to read everybody's lips, I could never find employment in my field. There are laws against that type of thing, but I did not have the knowledge or funds at the time to legally pursue it. It saddens me to think that someone who used to be so neighborly and kind to my son and I could spread such falsehood and unfounded accusations against me as if it were the truth. Not only that, but then they went a step further to rally another neighbor or two to stand by these unfounded accusations with him. In my opinion, it is all just absurd. I don't understand why anyone, let alone people who up until 3 months ago were friendly and neighborly with me, would create such ridiculous lies about me. I have never hurt anybody, and I help anyone I can in the neighborhood as I do anywhere else. It is very unfair that I have been put in this situation. Please give me a chance to run my pet sitting service, not only for myself, for my friends and clients who need me as much as I need them. I'm not doing anything wrong or disruptive. The only thing I'm at fault for this is I've never applied for a Monroeville business license because I didn't know I needed to. I thought Rover was all I needed, or I would have had it. I've been with Rover since 2015 in Texas as well as Maryland, and I've never needed to get one. I do pay federal and state taxes as well as a percentage to Rover.com. I have since applied for and paid for the Monroeville business license as they see me as an at-home employee. It is utterly ridiculous that we have to walk on eggshells in our own home. My neighbor Sharon now gets paranoid if her dogs are barking for even just a few minutes. It's just not fair. It really isn't. You have in front of you multiple copies of letters from a wide range of people attesting to the fact, and it is the fact, that my residence is quiet, clean, and free and clear of any odors and in no way chaotic or disruptive to my neighbors. Many of those letters also refer to the fact that my clients dropping and picking off their animal or picking up their animal does not interfere with anyone coming or going down Woodhaven Drive, especially not the neighbors. In conclusion, I would like to point out that Mr. Kelly has absolutely no proof of anything he has accused me of. The letters written on my behalf come from a variety of people. A lot of them are neighbors, friends, and acquaintances, who, by the way, some of them barely even know me, but were willing to speak out on my behalf because Mr. Kelly is lying and I am not. I'm grateful for anyone who is willing to write a letter and for those willing to stand up for the truth. Again, I am saddened that these false complaints got this far and as a result lost me money, time wasted for me and for those who have showed up to support me, and many sleepless nights worrying that some of you may believe these ridiculous lies. Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I point out that Rover.com is like a booking agency, is that correct, for your pet sitting?
In a way, they're their own agency. They provide the website and the advertisements, and I do pet sitting service from them as my own self-service employee. I don't have anybody working for me. I'm not like advertising my business on my property or anything. I just have people coming over, dropping their dogs off or whatever animal so they can go on vacation, and they're basically part of the family. They're not crated, they're not kenneled. I don't have anything in my house that makes it into a kennel or an actual business. It's just dogs coming to sleep with us,
Understood.
stay with us, spend time with us, being a loving family.
does Rover.com, do they have any guidelines or requirements for you as a dog sitter? Do they come to your house to inspect your home
They do not.
to make sure it's dog safety? Dog
No, they
safe?
do not. They run a background check on every sticker that applies for their site. They off on reviews from other clients.
Okay.
Everybody leaves reviews if they want to, and I have quite a lot of reviews and a lot of repeat clients.
Now, what about, as a dog sitter, do you require looking at the pet owner's medical records?
I do. I require that all dogs that come to stay with us have their vaccine records. I recommend that they have Bordetella, just in case,
Right.
you never know. And I did rabies, right?
Yes.
I did. Okay. I did rabies, Bordetella. I make sure they're up to date on all of their vaccines that they
Okay.
need. Also, I do meet and greet. They come to my house. They meet my dog. They meet my son. Just to make sure everybody gets along. I don't accept dogs that are constant barkers. I don't accept dogs that have any kind of aggression, especially food aggression. We won't accept those dogs to stay with us.
And how many dogs do you have yourself?
I have two.
And what is the most you usually have at one time sitting?
I tend to wash no more than 2 to 4 dogs at a time, and most of the time I only have 1 or 2, if that. Sometimes during the summer I had up to 5 other dogs, but one came the same day, another one was leaving.
Okay.
So it literally is
In and
that. But
out.
also I have periods of time where I have no dog staying with us at all.
Is there, I'm sorry.
No, it's 7 days a week then?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the typical length of stay for your pet, for the dogs? I'm sorry.
It varies. It depends on each owner, actually. The shortest stay I've had is daycare. They come and stay for the day. And the longest stay I've had was maybe 3 weeks.
Okay.
How long would they be at your house? Is it early morning to late at night, or,
For daycare,
yes?
it varies also for the owners. I have one dog that comes from like 10 a.m. to about 7 p.m. for daycare.
Is there a time cutoff at night that?
9 p.m.
9 p.m. Okay. And your yard is completely fenced?
Yeah, completely fenced with a 6-foot-inch privacy, 6-foot feet, yeah, privacy fence.
What is the normal routine when someone drops off their pet? They pull in the driveway, or we've seen videos of some coming in the driveway, some staying in front of the house for less than 5 minutes, and you greeting them.
I actually asked them to pull into my driveway,
Okay.
but sometimes they should pull onto the side of the
Right.
street. I don't know why, but I asked them when they come that the next time they please pull into my driveway.
Okay.
As far as your fenced-in yard, as far as the cleanup, is that something you handle? Do you have a service that cleans up the yard?
I do all the cleanup, and my son helps as well.
Okay, thank you.
Just one question for Paul. Paul, is there any type of ordinance of how many pets, dogs, or anything you can have in Monroeville?
No, the municipality does not limit the number of pets.
Okay.
Anything else? We're going to ask other folks to come up at this point in time, and we can bring you back up.
Jessica, you can stay there so you can continue to read the monitor,
Okay,
and then anybody else can use one of the other 2 microphones.
okay.
Yes, go ahead. No, please. Swearing in, everybody.
Is there anyone else that cares to give testimony in this matter? Raise your hand. Okay, why don't you all stand up that intend to give some testimony, and you want to administer the oath.
Go right ahead, sir.
You want to raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer in the last great day. Answer, I do?
I do.
Okay.
Great.
All right, let's start at the
Is
front.
everyone signed in that's going to speak? Or if not, please do so when you come up to
can
the
sign-
podium.
You can sign in when you come up to the microphone.
Okay. Where do we want to start?
You wanna
Front
start?
row.
Okay.
Who in the front row wants to come up?
Yeah, because my heart rate's a little bit up. Okay. I'm tall, I'm gonna push you out of the way. Such a poor.
You state your name, please, for the record.
My name is Priscilla Swab. I live at 352 Woodhaven Drive, next door to her.
Very fine, thank
Spell
you.
your last name for the court reporter.
S like Sam, W, A, B like boy.
Did you sign in? Thank you.
Okay, so I moved into Sharon Peckman's house. This is Sharon right here. This past spring, with my adult special needs daughter. I initially moved in. I moved in to help her. She's got some medical issues. She lost her son. She lost her husband. I have a special needs daughter. So believe me, you have a special needs child, you need help. Okay. Prior to moving in, though, I spent a lot of time at her house in the pool, which is in the backyard, right next to Jess's fence. You can, if you're on the pool deck, you can actually look in part of the yard and see the dogs playing. I have never seen anything out there reminiscent to what was described, okay? I've enjoyed meals on that pool deck, hanging out on the deck, the upper deck as well. I've never heard an abundance of barking or smelled foul odors. Because honestly, I would not have moved in if that was the case. And here's the main reason why. I have an extremely low tolerance to smells, to bad odors. If I smell anything horrendous, I begin choking and gagging. And it's so bad that when my daughter wanted a cat, I initially said no, because I would have to change the kitty litter box and I'd be throwing up all the time. So she finally agreed that she would change the kitty litter box and move in the whole place. And so we got a cat. But, I did have to change it a few times. I put a whole mask over my face. It's a mess. It's bad. She'll attest to this. I can't smell anything. So if that was true, that the odors are coming in like was said in the complaint, I would know it. And if I heard dogs barking all the time, I would know it. As a matter of fact, the only dogs I ever hear barking are on the hill behind our house. There's dogs up there who live on Center Road. And I opened my back door and I said, oh, there's dogs barking. But they weren't hers. They're theirs. So I don't know about that. Okay. Page 2. Okay, so I'm in the backyard a lot because I park cars back there, I'm back there, I go in and out of the back door all the time. I sit on the deck, I sit outside, no problems. Okay. What I have noticed is the dogs are never in the front yard. The only time I've seen her dogs in the front yard will be when the people come for the meet and greets. And usually we like to see them because most of them are adorable. I'm not gonna, so we enjoy this fact. We see new dogs and whatever, and like, okay. I know they're not picked up late because I believe in the complaint that said that people were coming and going at all hours of the night. Well, I know for a fact that these people in this house, her house, go to bed like at 9 o'clock. Yeah, nobody comes that late. Okay, so Jess has a special needs son. I have a special needs daughter. My daughter's 27. I know from personal experience the difficulty of working outside the house while trying to raise any child by yourself, let alone one with special needs. But I'm a single mother. She's a single mother. I did it, and I didn't do it with family around. I'm a Pittsburgher, but I lived in Muncie, Indiana for 23 years raising my child out there by myself. That was just where God had me at the time. I'm back now, praise God. Okay. But, add to the fact that her son is also deaf, she's deaf, and the complaint is coming in that you're going to take the only employment that she has off the table. How's she supposed to support her child? What's she supposed to do? I just don't understand. Then you add to the fact that she is extremely well-versed in the area of dogs and cats. I'm a cat person. I don't know dogs at all, but I live now with dogs. And even Sharon, who has had dogs her entire life, calls Jess over on occasion to say, what do you think about this issue with this dog? Because she knows. Now, that tells me she's an expert. I've never asked for that. And then the pet sitting service becomes a perfect scenario for her to have in her home. It provides an income, but also the freedom to meet the needs of her special needs son. So in closing, I am wondering why anyone would attack a young disabled woman who has a disabled special needs son and try to force her to give up the only form of income that she has. From my understanding, it was reported that the stench of dog feces is so strong And the noise of dogs continuously barking is so loud that neighbors were unable to enjoy sitting on their porches. But this is an interesting factoid about this. The neighbor with the porch or deck closest to 356 Woodhaven is our house next door. We're close. I mean, I could walk out and touch her fence within seconds. Other Woodhaven Drive neighbors that have front porches are either too far from 356 Woodhaven because they're located, and others are located on the other side of the street, or face Logan's Ferry Road. So I don't know what they're hearing, and I don't know what they're smelling, because, like I said, if I was smelling what they're claiming they were smelling, yeah, it would be game over for me. I'd be throwing up all day and all night. Questions, anybody?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Have a lovely day.
I noticed we had a lot of hands go up. One of the things that we recognize, we don't have to hear things several times over, if you understand what I'm saying. If you're for this project, if you just want to get up and tell us that you're for it or against it, you can do that. Certainly, if you want to offer testimony, we're gonna listen to you. I would suggest to you that we're gonna probably put a time limit on it. We didn't do it with this first lady, but since we have so many hands, we're gonna limit it to 3 minutes. So you got 3 minutes to tell us if you feel that you want to say more than I'm for or against the project. So, ma'am, you're still in the front row. You want to start?
Sorry.
Take your time.
I broke my foot on top of everything else.
My name is Sharon Peckman,
Spell your last name for the court reporter.
Peckman.
And you signed in.
I did. Well,
Thank
she
you.
signed in for me, if that's okay.
Yep.
I do want to talk because
Well, go
I'm
ahead.
Sharon. I live in the house right next door, and I think truly that we could put this, if everybody really is, you guys all read the letters and you've already stated that there's favor. I have so many medical issues, it's ridiculous. I don't hardly ever leave my house. I am constantly outside. And I'll just leave it at this. There is absolutely no truth to the accusations. When I lost my son and husband, I was a mess. And the only family I consider still standing, him and I, my son, and 3 dogs. It's just me and Matilda. And we've gotten another dog. But this little dog, she is my world. And she's a senior. And the only person I would ever leave her with is Jessica. And I praise God that she moved in 3 years ago because, I'm starting to live again, and I'm starting to try to take vacations or go out. And the fact that I am here tonight shows how important truth is to me. Because today is the worst day I've had in a couple of weeks. I'm exhausted from the holidays. I don't leave my house. I got a broken foot. And my integrity means the world to me. And so the fact that this is happening, and I like these other neighbors. I've been friendly with them. My husband used to kibitz with them, and Schmitty and Patrick. I brought him soup. I don't understand. And lying is one of my biggest pet peeves. And so I did. I dragged myself. I got out of bed at 6:30, threw myself together knowing this was going to be televised. That's a big statement, because I don't let anybody video me. So I'm just keeping it real. And I have nothing but respect until 3 months ago for all these neighbors. We have a tight-knit neighborhood. Everybody has everybody's back, and thank God. Because when I lost my guys, I lost my world. And she moved in, and Priscilla moved in, and I am able to keep my house. And I am able to have my dog. And I was able to rescue another one from Monroeville Shelter because I believe in this town. And so I'm going to stop because I think you all know
3 minutes.
that the truth is the truth.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Who would like to be next?
While we're in transition,
Yes.
the voice recognition software we have has a 30-minute timer. So We're going to reset that.
Okay.
Just take a couple seconds, and then the next person can come up.
Who would like to be next? Okay.
Oh, he's coming now. And now we're not gonna time him for 3 minutes, right? She's gonna be lower, because he's the
He's
one
gonna have
that's.
more, he's the, yeah. Put 3 on there and you'll see how it goes, and then we can just,
Hey, can I add one thing?
you, in a sec.
Thank you.
Paul, would that microphone pick up if somebody carried it
Or
over?
she's got to get up.
She's gotta get up.
I'll get up. It's worth it.
Thank you.
Tia, can you grab that? I forgot to add, and this is important. My dogs are probably some of the dogs that he may hear. We had a dog that passed away recently, and she was louder than loud, and she was a puppy, and she did nothing but bark. And I kept her in the house, but she liked to play. And when she played, she barked, and I never let it go on. But I would venture to say my little dachshund, she's a little noisy. And I do take care of her, but, I mean, nobody would suggest that you take my dog away from me. So I just wanted to add that because it's important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so who's next?
I am.
You've signed in, sir?
Yes, I have.
Would you state your name for the recorder, please?
My name is Patrick Kelly. I have lived on 360 Woodhaven Drive for 25 years.
Current resident?
I have 2 residencies. This is one of them,
Okay.
okay?
Well, where do you reside?
I spend some time up in northwestern Pennsylvania and some time down here.
So you occupy this residence?
Yeah, I am in there right now. The house is for sale, but I am in there until we get a closure on it, which will occur. I'd like to straighten some things out. The first thing I would like to say to everybody is, number one, I don't like to be accused of a liar, which I was earlier, okay? Number two, I want to get the facts straight. As you will read the handouts, you will see all the various violations from the Monroeville Code on there. The second fact I want to straighten out is this dog sitting hasn't been going on for 2 years. It became really an issue this spring. So let's get that clear. This neighborhood has dealt with its share of noise and traffic due to a number of vehicles using Center Road and Logan's Ferry, along with vehicles using Woodhaven Drive as a shortcut. Neighbors should not have to deal with additional traffic, noise, and odor due to pet sitting businesses in the middle of a residential area. My home over the fence has experienced such things as, I didn't know what they were, dog plates. They were plates that were thrown over the fence. I had no idea what they were. This was the first tip-off that something was going on. There's been litter thrown over, various sorts of litter, dog sticks, paper cups, plastic. I was home for the Thanksgiving holidays, and there was barking at 4:30 a.m. It woke everybody up in the house. The same sort of situation happened during the Christmas holidays. I also experienced some tire marks from her driveway across my property, which is about 20 yards. And it's away when she got packed with cars, okay, 2 or 3 people dropping off dogs. It appears that somebody didn't want to wait till the other person dropped their dog off. And I have pictures of the tire marks It's the only possible way it could have happened. And that's from people getting jammed up in her driveway, dropping off dogs and having to wait to get out. So to say that there's nothing going on is an understatement. You guys mentioned letters. I have from people, human beings that live in the neighborhood, totaling 14 different names of a petition, and some people have lived over in our neighborhood for more than 50 years, okay? I won't, for privacy purposes, they are all listed on your sheet. People that I went to recently that do not want this because they know the neighborhood's gonna be ruined. If you want to start a dog sitting business or a dog kennel, go get a commercial area and run your business there like everybody else does. 336 Woodhaven Drive, 343 Woodhaven Drive, 349 Woodhaven Drive. These aren't letters, these are human beings. We haven't seen the letters. We don't know who they're from. We don't know if they're authentic or not. This is authentic.
I'm gonna challenge you on that right there with the letters that we have here. The letters we have are written letters by neighbors and other people. You have just signatures. How do we know that these are not forged?
Well, that's the whole purpose of a petition. You can call them, you can follow up with them. These were done by myself with neighbors, and one of them is here tonight to verify that.
Well, that's good that the one is here, but in the future, if they want to, you know, I would highly recommend all these 13 people should have been here as well.
12.
Or 12.
And also to
So-
add to that is that this is 13 names and addresses for what? I don't know. Like, it doesn't say this is a petition against or for.
That's the first page, ma'am. If you read, it's the very first
So
line.
I'm going to ask you another question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. The first line you have, you said that she's violating Monroeville ordinance number 1443, table 201-A for R-2 single family. What is that?
Well, this is a residential zoning area, sir. Mr. Weldon can speak to that.
1443 is the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
So that's the 1443. The table 201 is what we call the use table. It has all the different districts listed, and it shows what uses are permitted and conditional uses in a table format.
So is she,
Pet sitting is not listed in the R2 as a permitted or a conditional use, but in ordinance 1443, we allow for home businesses, such as we have provided special exceptions in the past for people that want to operate a small bakery out of their home,
or
something similar to that.
babysitting too? We've done in the
Correct,
past.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, I would also, since you brought it up, there's all your other ordinance and codes listed on page 1. If you don't understand them, Paul, maybe you could go over them briefly of why they're there. I'll yield my time to you to do that.
No, please continue, sir.
Okay. So I just want to make sure the facts are straight, okay, on what's going on here. And this just started, it wasn't 2 years ago when she moved in. It started this spring, where the noise, the smell, and if you allow this, you're gonna have more people wanting it to be different zoning, commercial. You're gonna ruin the neighborhood. And from that, I'll yield my time. You have any questions? But this isn't something that was fabricated or made up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Paul, just so I know, when was this application filed?
The application was filed, I have the application right here, just a second. Date on the application, we I have the
Well,
date of
six.
it's early December.
The 12/6 on the last page,
Is that where it is?
12/6/22.
22. Yep.
Yeah, there it is, yes.
Prior
Early
to
December.
12/6/22, had you ever heard from this gentleman about any complaints?
No.
Did you?
Well,
We talked on the phone
it-
several times.
Sir.
Prior to
It was-
12/6,
well, yeah, that is what precipitated the application.
okay.
So it was,
That's the first time there was any complaints.
correct, a week or two before, so I would say mid-November?
So from, I think he said, spring of last 22, up until December, no one made any complaints at all?
Correct, yes.
Next up, coming up, who's up?
Well, Mr. Stevenson is coming up. Everybody's got a bad leg tonight, huh? I'm enjoying that.
cane out there. I
I'm
didn't
part of
wanna
that
get
club.
bad.
I will share with you.
Would you state your name for the record, please, sir?
Bob Stevenson, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. Weldon, Sharon, Solicitor Dice. It's good to see you all. I am the current councilman for Ward 3, which this property is in. I also went to the property 3 times. I saw no dog feces, I smelled nothing, I didn't see a dog. I saw 1 car go to the property. That's in 3 visits. So as you can tell, I'm for this application, and I'd like to see it move forward. I have been on this board. I spent 8 years on this board, chairman for 6. And I feel that this board is here to grant things to people in the community that kind of don't meet the ordinance. And that's what I did when I was on the board. And we gave people that put up a shed in the setback, they didn't have to take it down. But we let them keep it. We could have made them take it down. But that's why I think this board is here, just to help the community and the people that live in it. So that's really all I have to say. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, please. Sir in a jacket. Have you both signed in, please?
We're both signed in.
Okay.
My name is Suzanne Schmidt. My father, Ronald Schmidt. We live at 355, across the street from Jessica. I will ask the question about those 51 yay letters that you guys received. How many of them are actually from in the neighborhood, and how many are her clients? Because those that don't live in the area and deal with what we deal with Logan's Ferry, with the traffic that comes off of Center Road when things get crazy out there, look, Woodhaven gets bad. The speeding level is bad. Having cars parked all over the street makes it even worse. My father has been in Monroeville for
1946.
from 1946. So he's seen a lot of changes, a lot of things that he was happy with, things that he hasn't been happy with. Over the last summer, I've been working outside any day that I can work outside. And basically, if the wind was blowing right, it was coming from the southeast side of the street
Southeast,
across.
west-east,
I'm
across.
smelling it. I'm working outside. I don't know where it's coming from. Could be coming from your house, Sharon. I don't know. Your front yard.
Yeah, and if
Okay.
it's case,
Could
we
be
take
coming
it
Ma'am,
from
please face
Jessica's.
this way for the microphones.
Sorry. It could be coming from wherever, but we're smelling it. And the direction of the wind is telling me it's coming from across the street. Okay? I have security on on our house. So I've seen instances, and I've submitted video, excuse me, Jessica, but I've submitted the video, that has shown pickups or drop-offs after 9 o'clock. I've seen pickups or drop-offs at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. House is lit up like a tree, like a Christmas tree. So this stuff of
Doesn't happen after 9 o'clock. Sorry, I've seen it. I got video on it. I've seen dogs in the front yard. Happened just the other night. You had a dog out there after 10 o'clock. I do believe it was after 10 o'clock. The dog's doing its business. You take the dog in the house and go back in.
Shit just lays there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know if this is minimal incidents what I'm seeing, because I can't see into the backyard. I just know what I'm smelling, and I know what I'm hearing, and I am hearing barking. I think it was Sunday night. Something happened, and I turned on the audio for my alarm system, and all I heard was dogs barking. Again, I don't know where they're coming from. Could be coming from Center Road, as somebody mentioned, but when I'm seeing dogs being dropped off, and then I'm hearing barking in the next hour or so, and there's lights from her back porch out into her yard, and I can tell that they're on, I'm assuming that's where the barking's coming from. So, you know, I'm looking at the ordinances, the chapters within the ordinance, 180, that talks about smell, talks about, you know, noise level, and it's like, okay, not making a complaint, I don't like to rowel it, but when I find out somebody's running a business, and I didn't know she was running a business, because I basically keep to myself. I work outside, I do what I have to do, and I might see a car pull in, I'm not paying attention. But if we're gonna make this official, and who's to know what's gonna happen down the road? Is it gonna get worse? You know, is the smell gonna get worse? Is the noise level gonna get worse? Can you retract it once you put it out there?
No.
I mean, once you give her that approval,
Okay, ma'am, just so you know, you're up with your 3 minutes. Do you want to conclude?
okay,
I have a question for her.
go for
Let her
it.
Okay,
finish.
okay, go ahead.
Go for it. I
you
got my
finished?
say. What do you, anything
Does
you
your
want to add?
father have anything to add?
Yeah, you talk about not complaints in 2 years, correct? Is that what you said, Dice?
No,
You
that's
haven't
not what I
heard
said.
no complaints?
That's not what I said.
All right. I had complaints in my head. I had the neighbor over there had 2 dogs. This party over there got 3 dogs and adopted another one because it was gonna be put away.
Hold
Please,
on.
ma'am,
Nope.
hold on.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit hard of hearing.
No, you're fine,
You're
sir.
fine, continue.
All right.
You're all right.
But that's what I brought up. Not just 2 dogs in the house. I seen 5 dogs on the back porch barking their goddamn heads off. It don't even damn dogs, it went next door to the other dogs. And then anybody who brings dogs up that street, those dogs could see a quarter mile down the road. They start barking, and they don't stop. They don't stop. Now, who's got the hardship? We all got a hardship, and we shouldn't have to put up with it. As far as I'm concerned, that's me. I think of the people in Monroeville. We allowed in this section, number 3, is gonna go all the way around. Everybody will wanna take care of dogs because there's no jobs, and they want to get money. Yeah. The mill is shut down, the pizza shop come out. You know that. You're not 88 years old like me. I've seen this borough grow up. I've seen the good, I've seen the bad. And this is no good for the borough, right here. Well,
Thank you.
I can't, you're more than welcome. And thank you for listening. I'm
Well-
sorry I'm loud,
That's
No,
okay.
You're fine.
You're fine.
but I'm a little bit hard of hearing.
You're
had a
fine,
question,
sir.
Larry?
Ma'am, you said you were not aware that she was running the business. Who brought to your attention?
The neighbor, Patrick, brought it to our attention that it looked like she was running a business. And I went out and I Googled it, and I found that she had been running a business
Okay.
through Rover. So, you know, like I said, I don't pay attention
I understand. I
really
just-
to what's going on.
other than what I can see and what I can smell.
So I guess my other question was, she's been running it for 2 years, and you just found out, why wasn't, I don't know why your father said he didn't want to cause any problems. Is that why him or yourself never called a year and a half ago? And what made
And
you
you
come
don't know where it's
today?
coming from either. You know what I mean? And to be honest,
Ma'am, if you don't know where it's coming from,
until you find out, and then I start paying attention, and then I
now
start
you're
looking at
sure
my
it's coming from
camera.
there.
Yes,
Ask you a question.
okay, and you have other things that tell you what is going on. So walking the street, there's 4 dogs on the back porch barking at me. Okay? I'm pulling my car in, and there's 2 dogs standing there barking at me. I mean, it's crazy. And then with all the dogs barking, and again, don't know where it's all coming from, but I'm closing my windows, I'm closing my doors. You know, I can't sit on the front porch because I want some peace and quiet beyond the traffic that's running up and down all the streets.
Okay, you're probably at your limit as far as time. Let me ask you a question about, the board was made aware, and we received numerous videos. Quite honestly, the videos I watched, what I saw was people pulling in a driveway, taking a dog out or picking a dog up, backing out of the driveway. Occasionally, a car would park in front of the house and do the same thing for a
Right.
period of a few minutes. How is that different from somebody, a house guest coming to your house and staying for dinner, bringing their pet with them? And
Okay.
who's to say when your neighbors can come and go? As far as,
That's not my point. My point is, how many animals are coming into that house that then create the excess barking, the excess smell that, you know, we have to deal with? And if it was occasionally, you know, I didn't know she was running a business. I'm thinking, okay, she's dog sitting. I mean, I've gone over to my sister-in-law's house and dog sat. I don't bring the dog to my house. So, you know, having to deal with all of this, and again, I agree with Patrick, it's gotten worse this summer. Last summer, I didn't see so much of it. But again, I don't pay attention to what other people are necessarily doing unless it's going to affect me and my property. So,
all right, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And we're gonna need to reset that
Yep.
timer again,
Thank you,
so
sir.
while we're doing that.
Have a show of hands of how many more folks want to talk? 3? Okay, thank you.
Can I just say one thing?
Hold on.
Not right yet, no. You'll have, we need to get these other folks to talk first. While he's doing that, let me ask a question
We're
to
up.
Paul
Come on up, man.
and Bruce. You know, if we were to grant this conditional, what neighbors are still free afterwards to, if there's a problem, smells or whatever, things that have not occurred up to this point in time, that can still happen.
Absolutely.
Any day of the week.
Absolutely.
And when the violation was first brought to to my attention, code enforcement officer and the animal control officer visited the property, and they found no violations, no odor, no noise.
Okay.
Everything seemed fine.
Thank you. Next, please.
Yeah. You raised your hand. Come on up.
No,
No,
no.
you're
you-
last.
You're last. You've already spoken.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Did you sign in?
I did. My
Okay.
name's Linda Scott.
What's your name?
Linda Scott. I live at 401 Woodhaven Drive. So I'm on the other side, you know, just beyond, on the corner of Logan Ferry, which is essentially 3 houses down. Even from this distance, I notice that there's an excessive amount of noise from the dogs barking. So it's not like I'm across the street, it's not like I'm next door, I'm hearing it across Logan Ferry. And, you know, I'd say to my husband, I'd say, you know, I hear dogs barking and everything, and it seems like it happened after these people moved in. I've never met the people. Sorry, Jessica. I am sympathetic to your needs, believe me.
Ma'am, testify here.
I'm a certified counselor, and I certainly understand the needs of special needs and limitations. So I have full sympathy and empathy for people. But I'm wondering, how is it that a person doesn't know that they need a business license? And how can they operate that
It's my
2
understanding
years?
she's applied for a business license. That has
But
nothing
it-
to do with this hearing. Nothing. So you know that. This is a zoning matter. This is not a business license hearing. She's
But
applied
she's
for that.
operating, so I didn't know that she was
Things are being
operating a
rectified on
business.
that front. She was under the assumption that the agency that she was working through was taking care of a lot of the administrative stuff, is my understanding.
Again, this is a zoning matter,
Yep.
not a business license.
Okay, well, it's a residential business. So I guess I don't understand why she didn't share this with, it seems like she tried to keep it to herself.
Well, you
is-
found
is
out
the-
about it, didn't you?
I found out about it when I got the letter,
Well,
which is only,
so because once she makes this application, letters go out to the neighbors. So you knew
Correct.
about it then.
that is correct. That is the only time I knew about it. I mean, I keep to myself. I try not to interfere with other people. Other neighbors have dogs. The noise is minimal because she has a number of dogs. So when we purchased our property, we purchased in residential. We assumed that there were going to be no businesses allowed. And that's, we purchased this so that we could retire. I'm retired, my husband's about to retire. Most of the people in Woodhaven are an older demographic. And we've owned and lived in our homes for a number of years. And much of our financial equity is in our homes. We need to maintain our property values and marketability in the event that we need to access this equity. And let's face it, who in this room would recommend a home on the market for sale to a friend or a family member, fully knowing that a pet sitting service is being operated next door? Not me. Home-based businesses clearly affect home marketability. Is that what you want to do to Monroeville? People move to the suburbs for a quiet place to raise families and retire. They move here because there are no businesses. Woodhaven, I've lived in Monroeville for 40 years, and I know the community. I haven't lived in Woodhaven, but I know that it's a quiet side street, established in a coveted neighborhood, and we value our privacy and our peaceful lifestyle. An established home-based business, a noisy one, interferes with that lifestyle and ultimately with our quality of life. Now, this business might seem small scale at this time, but there's no laws governing the expansion. So how do we know that she's going to have 1 or 2 dogs, or 12, or it's going to become a commercial operation if it gets approved? What reassurance do we have that this isn't going to happen? And pet sitting, dogs, cats, birds, rodents, snakes. What does pet? There's no provisions for this. So how do we know that it's not literally going to become a large-scale commercial facility? I mean, I wish her business all the success in the world, but how can she, if this is her sole support, how can she survive on 1 or 2 clients, or 5 or 6? What kind of revenue can she generate from that? So she's got a large backyard. What kind of structures? And how can she reassure us that her pet clients won't get loose and run free in our streets and in our own yards?
Ma'am, not to interrupt, but if you would wrap up, your time is coming
3
up.
minutes.
The pros got a whole lot of time, didn't they?
I'm sorry, again?
I said that the people in favor of her got a whole lot of time, yet we get 3 minutes or less.
I tried to get
One
3
person,
minutes to the
that
other
was it.
folks also, except for the First Lady. That was my mistake.
Right.
And you're
You have
over
a,
the
you
3
you
minutes,
could,
but go ahead.
Go ahead, finish up.
My concern is, if it is a small business and she does her best to keep things quiet, there's no concern. But I want to know what protects us from this getting out of hand.
Is your fear that it's going to be turned into, she's going to hire employees and have, she's one individual who's trying to make a
That's
go
not
of
a
this?
home business.
Yeah. If you had multiple
Well,
employees.
I get that, but if there's no laws, if there's nothing saying she can limit it to a certain number
Yes, there
or
are.
whatever.
Yes, there is. The zoning ordinance is set up so that if you're running a business with employees and multiple dogs and
Deliveries
you're
and-
going through that kind of process, and you've got trucks or vehicles, then she would have to be in a commercial district. This is a home traffic-based use, which comes
With barking
in the form of
dogs.
a special exception. And it's not a commercial use in the sense that it meets the requirements of a dog, like a Petco or something. You know, that's just not going to be the case. If she does that, you can bet our code enforcement officers are going to be out there and complaining about it, and that's what we do. I mean, they've already been out there, as you've heard Paul indicate, and didn't see any issues when they were there that one time. So, again, that's how we would deal with that if that occurs.
I have a question. Do I need
You don't get to
Yes,
ask questions yet.
As soon as she's finished, so you can come up.
Yeah, you're going to testify.
That's my wife, so I have a question.
Oh, come on
That's
up.
fine.
I'm Joe Scott.
Hold on, until you get the
Wait.
microphone.
Wait till you get up front, sir.
I'm Joe Scott. I live at 401 Woodhaven Drive. I guess I'm kind of confused here. I mean, this sounds like it's a kennel operation instead of a house-sitting situation. But did
Who's
I
describing it as a
misunderstand
kennel?
somebody here? They said that there's no provisions to laws governing this. I don't understand. What keeps her from getting 12 dogs, 15, 20? I mean, what stops that?
Well, I can tell you this, that if that happens, you're going to have the code enforcement officer out there citing her.
Okay. We bought, like my wife was trying to say, we bought this property to retire in and to be away from these home businesses, okay? I understand people have the right to petition, and I understand people have a right to make a living. But also, I agree with a lot of people here that this didn't really get out of hand till this summer. I'm outside working and the dogs are barking, 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 and there seemed to be no end of it. You know what I mean? So I just came upon, it came upon us that it's gonna be a commercial and it's gonna be, you know, like forever kind of situation. So I don't think that we should have to, you know, be subjected to that. And I question the 51 names, where are they in relationship to us, this? Do you know what I mean?
I understand.
So, we want that voice put out there about that, so.
All right, so noted.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, sir.
I didn't sign in, so this is it.
Yep, please. Sharon, you got his first name, the gentleman who spoke?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mary Urosek. I live at 315 Woodhaven.
Want to spell
It's
your
about
last
a,
name?
it's about a block from
Could you
Jess's
spell your
house.
last name, please?
Pardon me?
Spell your
Spell your
last
last
name.
name.
Oh,
first.
last name, Yarosik,
Thank you.
okay? Daily, I walk up and down the street because I have dogs. If I'm not walking up the street, not twice a day, I'm driving up the street because you have to get to Logan's Ferry Road or Center Road or whatever. So I'm well aware of the property and the conditions that are. Until this issue arose, I was unaware that there was even a business being conducted. I have also sat at Sharon's front porch for years and on the deck in the back because we all have dogs. And never have I heard dogs next door. Never have I smelt anything. And in fact, Jess's house is very well maintained for the street if we're trying to keep things very well. There are many dogs in the immediate area. Almost every other house has a dog. There are dogs above on Center Avenue that you can hear, and I know they're big dogs because there are some shepherds up there, and they bark on a regular basis. Where this gentleman lives, next door to him, there's 2 full-size collies. They bark all the time. I've got 3 dogs across from me. They bark all the time. It's just a matter of, that's the way it is. There's dogs everywhere. Numerous vehicles, I have never seen anything other than one vehicle, or sometimes a vehicle sitting in the front of the house. Never a bunch of cars coming and going. I also put on my phone, if you care to see it, I took pictures for over a week at many times of the day, and I have never seen any vehicles coming or going from there. I've never had a dog there. If you want to look at them, you can see them. And if this is a matter of adhering to code, I can walk around, I've got lists of names of people that don't fit the code for numerous reasons of having businesses and things. But my experience is, on a daily basis, going past that house, I have never seen numerous vehicles, smelled anything, or seen dogs. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody else?
I think that's it. I think that's everybody in the
I
audience.
think she wanted
Did she
to
want
add.
to?
I
Well,
do.
wait a minute. Is there anybody that wants to offer new testimony, somebody that hasn't testified? All right. Am I correct? There's nobody? Okay. Now, you want to make a statement, ma'am? Okay, you're going to be limited to 2 minutes.
All it is I have.
You
You
got
have to come up to the microphone.
I have 2 dogs. I don't have 4 dogs. As Mr. Schmidt was saying, you know, I didn't get another dog up on top of the 3. And my dog that just passed away was noisy as all get out. And some of these things I'm listening to were her. And I guess, thank God she's dead, because then what would I do? You know, the dog that got loose the other day, that's my new rescue. I'm trying to train her. And that little bit of commotion, that was me again. So, I mean, she's getting blamed.
Okay, we
Thank you.
understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
All right.
I think that summarizes the testimony in this matter. We'll close.
I have a question, if I could. This is real.
You
have to go
come
back up.
here.
Come back up, sir, please.
Is there a possibility?
No,
Hold on,
don't start
check out.
Hold on,
talking.
wait,
You gotta
check
get
it.
on the
Come all the way up.
Oh, sorry. Is there a possibility to get a copy of these minutes? I mean,
There's gonna
everybody
be a
here is in
transcript.
agreement, like if this gets out of hand, there's something we can do about it. I
Sure.
guess I would just like to have a piece of
So
paper
you
to
know,
say that.
you
and
can
post it.
contact the court reporter over here.
Okay.
She's taking down a verbatim transcript of what everyone has said.
Okay, and including your conversations as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything
Fine,
that's
thank
said here is Sharon's recording.
you. Okay.
And
something-
Go ahead.
Something even
Sit down.
easier, the meetings are recorded and they are posted on the website.
Okay.
So you will be able to
YouTube.
download a copy of tonight's meeting, audio and visual.
Okay.
It'd just be like a video of the meeting.
All right, thank you.
It's also on YouTube. It'll probably be there tomorrow morning.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yep.
The website will take you to that link.
All right. Anybody else? And I want to ask Mr. Deitch just to, again, recap briefly what we're dealing with. It's not, we're not here to talk about business licenses, what she didn't do, what she did do, when she, traffic, those types of things.
This is strictly a zoning matter dealing with a special exception, and special exceptions under the municipality's planning code are uses as a matter of right if you satisfy the elements of the ordinance. And the issue there is, again, parking, travel, smells and odors would be an issue, barking would be an issue. All those things can be issues, and what I believe you've heard is conflicting testimony on that issue, on those issues. But again, I want to stress to you that this applicant doesn't have the burden like she would have if this is a variance of proving a hardship.
Okay. With that said, I will ask for a motion on this matter.
Mr. Chairman,
Fine.
can I
Yes.
ask, would it make sense for us to have maybe a 5-minute recess to discuss and then come back?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Just so we're.
All right, why don't you make a motion to go into
I'd like to
executive
make a motion to go into a
executive session to discuss
I'll
this,
second it, and we stand adjourned for
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
for as long as it's going to take.
Yep. Thank you, folks, for being patient with us. Thank you, folks. We are back in session. And at this time, we'd ask the, Jessica, may we ask you a few questions? Can you tell the board the maximum number of pets that you feel comfortable watching at any point in time?
Honestly, it varies on the pet, but I would never do more than 4 to 5 dogs at a time.
So that would mean 5 dogs that would be
Maximum.
coming in as guests. That's not including your 2 dogs.
Correct, but one of my dogs is also 17 and a half, she's almost 18 years old, so I don't
she's
know
still
how
here.
long.
So you're talking 7 total at your house?
Depends, but I never really watched that many, and
No,
it's
that's what I'm
very
saying.
rare.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
Very,
that's what-
very rare that will
Okay.
even happen.
So we got a number.
yeah. All right, so with that said, and I would ask for a motion on this matter. And we're talking about adding a covenant in there, a condition that we put a limit on the number of pets that you're allowed to maintain. So may I have a motion, and we'll come up with a wording.
I'll help you with that.
Okay,
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay.
motion made to approve.
And let
Wait a
me,
second.
let me add
Okay.
the conditions. There's a motion made, not seconded yet, to approve this application conditioned upon that there not be ever a situation where there's more than 7, or rather 5 guest dogs there at any one time, so that the maximum capacity would be 5 guest dogs together with your own pets.
I can
Which
agree
would
with
take
that.
it to 7, but I'm going to talk about it as guest dogs. And that would, so that the condition would be 5 guest dogs would be the maximum that she would be permitted to have at this location. And that's something that can be enforced through our code enforcement officers and animal control. Now there's need for a second if there is one.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. We vote on it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask for one other motion. There's nothing else on the agenda tonight.
Make a motion to adjourn?
May I have a second, please?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and seconded. This meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.